Hey there guys, it's Anthony here at Cutting Edge Guitar, and in today's lesson I'm going to be showing you and teaching you a few drills that you can use to build your speed even if you don't know any scales or anything like that. Let's get right into it. Hey guys, thanks for joining me in this video lesson. First thing I'd like to ask you to do is, if you enjoy the lesson, please do smash that like button, share it to any of your friends that you think that might benefit from seeing a video like this, and do subscribe to the channel because that will help me out massively. Right, I want to get into showing you some drills today that you can use for building your speed even if you don't know any scales. Now this is a thing where anyone who follows my content will be like, and you're normally the guy who says all of these people that tell us we don't need scales and all that stuff are telling us a load of BS. So what are you on about? You don't need scales. Well, I'm not saying at all that you don't need scales to be able to play things like fast or technical lead guitar and all that, because that's a load of absolute BS. You do need to know your scales, and that's it's just the way that it is. But the thing is, I want to show you some drills here that you can use even if you don't know some scales. So the thing is, a lot of technical workouts that you might see, especially, you know, I'm a teacher that's done guitar technique books and them sorts of things. I've got lots of courses and lesson packs that are built on building speed and that sort of stuff. When you're looking at those kind of products, you're going to see patterns like sextuplet, that means 6 note per beat patterns, 16th note patterns, that sort of stuff, that are all built into scale forms. Now the thing is with this, what I want to do is I want to show you some drills that just use common scale fingerings so that you can just start building some speed. So let's say, for example, you might not want to play blazing lead guitar. You might find that you're a blues guitar player, or you know, you're playing some jazzy stuff, or whatever it is that you're doing. You might even just want to play faster riffs and all that sort of stuff, and your fingers just don't keep up. So one of the things that I would do is I would get my students to just practice the common fingerings that you see in most scalar type playing, riff playing, you know, and all that stuff. Riffs, lead guitars, all that stuff is all going to be using scales all the time. So there are 3 distinct fingerings that we come across all the time, and that would be fingers 1, 2, and 4. So if I play that at the 5th fret, that's going to come out as 5, 6, 8. Super common fingering. You might also see frets or a fingering of fingers 1, 3, and 4, so that would be frets 5, 7, and 8. Or you might even see things like frets 5, 7, and 9. So you've got a tone stretch between these 2 fingers, and that would come out looking like this. I see a lot of players, when I show them 3 notes per string things in the beginning, they want to try and play that stretch like this, using their 3rd finger. And I would highly recommend that you don't do that, because it's very, very difficult to make that stretch consistently. Now the thing is, when I say that to my students, quite often they'll say, yeah, but Paul Gilbert is one of your favourite players and he used to do it with that finger and all the rest of it. And I'm like, yeah, there's always exceptions to a rule, right? Now the thing is, Paul Gilbert has absolutely massive hands, so therefore the stretch for him isn't really a big deal. But when you look at that stretch, as I'm doing that on the fretboard there, it's not natural. Like, the distance between those 2 fingers is huge, and then not so much between that. When you look at how your hand sits, that finger there, your middle finger, is more set in the middle of where your 1st and 4th finger are. So when you put your hand onto the guitar playing this as a stretch, that finger just sits there much more naturally than that one. If you're trying this and you're going, I'm not sure, Ant, that feels, you know, this one feels more natural to me and all the rest of it, trust me on this, try that one, and just keep going. I remember when I was at the Guitar Institute, one of my teachers who was working on technique stuff with us, Martin Goulding, very, very influential teacher, amazing guy. He said at the time that there would be a lot of people that would want to do this sort of thing. And he was like, yeah, I've heard all the Paul Gilbert story before, but if you watch his playing now, he's actually transitioned to doing a lot more of this. And, you know, he has, and also with all players. lots of different players use lots of different fingerings for lots of different things, and fingerings, they're not a hard and fast rule. But there's some suggestions that people like me that have spent 20 years of their life working on this piece of wood with 6 bits of metal stretched across it will have found, yeah, that just for a normal sized guy's hand, that does work better. So once you are familiar with those 3 finger spacings, now there are more on the guitar, but these are generally the ones that you're going to come across the most. If you're looking at different modes of different scales and all that stuff, you might see that finger combination but with a wider stretch or something like that. But if you practice this, this and this, it's going to take care of most of the stuff that you see. So what I would then start doing is I'd give that a bit of movement. So what you want to do is just walk it a bit like a spider walks across the guitar strings. So if I take fingers 1, 2 and 4, I'll start on my 6th string and I'm going to go right across the fretboard like this. And this is what I was talking about when I was saying you don't need any scales to be able to do these drills, because quite simply, like, that doesn't harmonically fit into anything particular that we would listen to in the Western world. It's just a sonic shape that I'm moving across strings. Now I'm actually doing that with hammer-ons. That is just a personal preference on this, but you could pick that sort of thing as well. If you wanted to turn that into a picking exercise, you'd probably want to alternate pick it, so you're going down, up, 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 that sort of thing. And then, of course, you can do that in reverse as well. So if I was doing it with the more legato style playing, I'd be doing it with pull-offs, pull off, pick, 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 pull off. And I think ideally you want to do these sorts of things as a triplet feel to get you going as well. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So then, of course, once I've done that, I would use the next fingering. I might pick this one just to show you a different dynamic. Notice that when I get to the top, I'm re-picking that note and coming back down. So it's like... Okay. And then finally, let's do another hammer-on and pull off one with the wider stretch. And that's the idea, is to just practice the drills with those different fingerings, just walking across the fretboard and back. That will get you used to crossing strings, moving across the fretboard, and so on and so forth. Now, if you want to add a bit more movement to that so that you get more fluid and more familiar playing around the whole guitar neck, the next thing that I would suggest is that you play one of those ideas in a low position of the neck and keep moving it up the fretboard a bit like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my first fretboard position and I'm going to go all the way across the fretboard. Then I'm going to move to the next fretboard position and come back down. Then go up to the next fretboard position and carry on. And so on and so forth. If you was to do that with the other 2 fingerings and everything as well, you've got quite a lot of work in there just for the fingers. It makes a great warm-up and it's just a good technical workout. Don't forget you can do that with hammer-ons and pull-offs, or you can pick everything as well. Loads of mileage on the fretboard getting you moving and building speed, which is perhaps something that's super desirable. If you want to be a shredder, building speed is essential. Even if you don't want to be a shredder, having fingers that will move around a little bit quicker and obey you more when you're trying to play lead guitar, it's certainly not going to do you any harm. Don't get upset or worried about the fact that doing those kind of drills is going to turn you into an unmusical shredder, because we're not using any scales or anything there. It's just purely an exercise. You want to think about it in the same way that you would go to the gym or something. You go to the gym purely for fitness. All we're doing there is working out the fingers for fretboard fitness. So one final thing that I want to talk to you about with this is a very, very simple pattern that you can add to it to get more mileage. And that would be, if I go back to my 5th fret area, And I'll stick to the first exercise, just using my fingers 1, 2 and 4. What I would perhaps do is I would do 3 strings, then come back 1, then back 1, and then back 1. So you just get more mileage out of 1 fretboard territory. If I play that sort of a bit more up to speed, it comes like this. And of course, you could also do that with your pull-offs, working that in reverse, and you could pick everything with that and all that stuff as well. So that would be plenty to get you warmed up, or just practice some drills to get some speed in there and get you flying and moving around your guitar. Okay guys, if you are interested to be learning, drop my pick. If you want to be watching and listening to way more tutorials about that sort of stuff, and you want to learn some very, very structured pathways into how you can become a very advanced guitar player, come over to Cutting Edge Guitar. There is a link in the description below where you can take a free trial and see all of the lesson packs. You can get started on the Advancing Guitarist course, which is a massive product that I've made that would take you from well, not the absolute basics, but it will take you from a sort of an intermediate level of playing up to a very, very advanced playing. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, so I will see you in another video on here. Take care for now, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you another time. Cheers.